United. This is a game that I actually watched with you yesterday, Shaka, and we were like shouting at the TV ourselves because it was so crazy. It's one of those games that you get so invested in. Obviously, we were watching it as neutrals, but it was like, whoa, like as it was all happening. And then we had to go to air straight after it. But can you remember anything as recent that was as crazy as that game was, especially its ending? Because I can't.
No, I can't. No, nothing recent, And then, well, yeah, we're talking about the Europa League. I mean, this is Manchester United's season. This is the defining competition of Manchester United's season. So, as of when we talk recent, maybe we want to go back. Was it 2 or 3 years with Real Madrid, Manchester City, and that ending? Was that game at the Etihad?
Yeah,
But
but
that
we
ending
might
that
expect it more, right, from Real. I think that's what's even bigger, isn't it? That we
exactly expected from Real
would we
Madrid,
expect
but
that from Manchester United right now?
no, and because similarly they are just so confusing. They're two up and in total control against Lyon, in total control. And then all of a sudden they concede one, and you just wonder. And years gone by, we've kind of spoken about this soft underside to Manchester United, and it came back to haunt them. But even at 2-1, just kind of given how dominant Manchester United were, how in control Manchester United were, you just felt, yeah, well, Leon got a goal, but no big deal. And it just went from there to 2 each to 3-2 to 4, and with 10 men. Leon
Hmm.
had 10. You are just, again, even as a neutral, you're saying to Manchester United, surely you get control of this game on your own home field against 10 men, where you just look so dominant for so much of the game, and yet still here we are, kind of bemused by it all. And then the turnaround comes, and maybe you could point to feeling legs for Leon, kind of give him the 10 men. Maybe Cherokee coming off at what was it? Was it 3-2? I think he came off at. Maybe that played a part in Leon's own imbalance, but then there's a natural imbalance because you've got 10 men on the park. But even as you look at Manchester United's last two goals, they were just allowed to bring the ball up to within 5 or 10 yards of the Lyon box without any kind of anybody putting any pressure on the ball. There's a lot you can question and wonder. But just from a Manchester United perspective, and as we mentioned yesterday, um, while immediately after the game, the night of, maybe in the next morning, you're thinking, man, that was so good. You're feeling so good about yourself and how things progressed. You're in the next round. Once the dust settles, as a professional, you have to sit down and have a hard look at yourself, because you cannot be too up at home and throw that away. Not there are very few teams, even with 10 men, who with a two-goal lead will succumb to, as Leon did late on. Those things, if you do want to win silverware, and yes, I know they're into the semi-finals, so they're within touching distance of silverware, but you simply cannot afford. You simply cannot afford to do that. You can't afford to do that against Athletic Bilbao. You really can't.
Do you think there's a risk that they don't sit down and discuss that part of it because of the euphoria of
Nah.
how it ended? Because like even the headlines today are like all the frustration and bad times are worth it for moments like this. That's Ruben Amorim speaking. We're seeing people saying, "Oh, it's invoking the spirit of 1999 at Manchester United. It's never over." Is there a chance that gets missed?
No. As a professional, it has to be addressed. You cannot look past that. You have to address that. I understand you're riding the wave of the euphoria of that comeback, and maybe in the press and as fans, you can draw parallels to 1999 all you like. 1999 was a final, so there was nothing to address afterwards. Um, as players, if you do not sit down, if you do not have those conversations, then something is desperately wrong with that dressing room.
Right. Anything else you want to say about Manchester United? Because I know last night it felt like, obviously, I ended up getting caught up in the euphoria a little bit myself, and I'm not even a Manchester
Yeah.
United fan. But it's like Stevie was making the point, well, now they've got to play another game, and we're not talking about in the Europa League. It's like, let's see what happens now in the league. Obviously, like, it's always so exciting after there's a moment like that.
Mm.
But as you're addressing, there were issues in that game. Can they ride the crest of the wave here and use that morale to boost them in the games that follow, even outside of Europe?
Yeah, but I mean, as I mentioned, as we discussed last night, the league for Manchester United. I mean, the big ask is whether they're going to finish 15th or 12th. That means absolutely nothing to a club like Manchester United. So I think the league games kind of come and go almost without any real fanfare. You're trying to get things right for the Europa League semi-finals for those tests against Athletic Bilbao. That's your only focus right now. So to that point, I don't see this as being anything of a come down. This will be kind of ramped back up and come the first leg of the Europa League semi-final. Other than that, everything just feels kind of we have to play these games. Let's just kind of get through them until we are able to refocus on the only games that truly matter this season.